Let's go ahead and start on our backs. And you can have your blocks somewhere nearby if you need them, but we probably won't for a bit. So we'll just start lying on our backs. And I encourage you for first thing to just come into whatever shape is comfortable for you. So you might bend your knees and plant your feet on the floor and let your knees fall in towards each other. From there, you might extend the arms out to the side in a cactus shape. You might let them wrap around the body, maybe around the shoulder blades, or just rest on the abdomen, whatever works best for you. So the first thing that we're just going to come into this present moment awareness of is just noticing how the body feels against the floor. In order to organize our thoughts in service of our own interests, we sometimes need to take a moment to pause and to check in and to really see how we're feeling, to see how we're thinking in order to direct our energy, in order to direct our thoughts. So for these next 2 minutes that you're here, I'd like you to begin to pay attention to your breath. And as you're paying attention to the breath, just emphasize your awareness on noticing the quality of the breath, noticing specifically the texture of the breath, paying attention to how the breath feels as it comes into the body, and paying attention to how the breath feels as it exits the body. And as you continue to just notice the breath, you might begin to notice that there is a pattern that comes up for you in particular. Maybe a little jump or a little rough spot in the length of your inhalation or in the length of the exhalation. And there's nothing to really do about it. You're just simply noticing that. And you'll just take about 3 or 4 more breath cycles here, just starting to pay really particular attention to the breath. And the reason we're doing this is it's said that the breath mirrors the quality and the state of our mind. So wherever there are little rough spots or jumps, it's said in the yogic tradition that mirrors rough spots or jumps in our thinking and our sense of calmness. And so for this last breath cycle here, I'd like you to just observe and notice how the breath is doing. And observe and notice how the mind is doing. Awesome sauce. All right, we're going to start to add a little bit of movement. So go ahead and extend your legs long. And actively flex through both of your feet and draw your legs either hip distance apart or all the way together. And then bring your hands alongside your hips. And we're just going to do these. We've been doing these for a few weeks. You'll inhale and zombie crawl your arms up towards the ceiling and up and overhead. And then you'll exhale and reverse that motion, drawing the hands back through the midline. And we'll just take about 4 more of those. And again, you're just paying attention. What does the breath feel like now that you're adding some movement into the body? And as you take these last 2, just again checking in with range of motion in terms of the arms, checking in with that quality, that texture of your breath. Awesome sauce. And then we'll just go ahead and take 1 more long inhalation after this next exhalation. And so the next time you inhale and sweep your arms up and overhead, you'll go ahead and pause there for a moment. You can either clasp the hands and turn the heels of the hands, palms of the hands away from your face, or you can just reach out through the fingers. But you're going to take 3 steady breaths here. And again, big yawns are welcome, but you're just inviting in a deeper breath into the chest, into the ribs, really paying attention to the quality of the breath. Awesome sauce. And very gently, you'll release the hands and exhale the hands back alongside the hips. And then just take a moment to pause here and notice the quality of the breath. And we'll keep coming back to this time and time again, really noticing and paying attention to the breath. Gently bend your knees and plant your feet firmly on the floor. And if you'd like, this is where the block can slide in between your inner upper thighs, or you can choose not to use it. We're going to stay with this notion of the breath, but now start to elongate the breath. So next in breath, push down through the feet, lift up through the hips, reach the arms up and over your head. And then as you exhale, slowly bring the hips, the hands, and the pelvis back down to the floor. Awesome sauce. You got 4 more of those. Maybe make this next one a 5-count inhalation coming up into your bridge pose. And then the exhale is as long as it needs to be, bringing the pelvis and the arms back to that starting position. Nice. And then maybe the next one will be a 6-count inhalation, pushing through the feet, hugging into the block, reaching out through the fingers. And then the exhale is as long as it needs to be, bringing the vertebra bone by bone back to the floor, pelvis back down to the mat. And then you'll repeat this 2 more times. Maybe a 7-count inhalation comes up into your bridge. And then a slow exhalation, articulating through the spine, articulating the hands back down towards the hips. And then you'll take your last one, working at an 8-count inhalation. And just, again, noticing how you can push down through the balls of the feet, press down through the pinky edges of the feet, reach out through the fingers. And then the slow exhalation will draw you all the way back down. And once you come back down, you'll just take a moment to draw your right shoulder up to your right ear, your left shoulder up to your left ear. From here, inhale, push through the feet, lift the hips high. And then when you're at your top, you'll walk the shoulders underneath you even more. You might interlace the hands, grab the outer edges of the mat, grab your ankles, whatever works for you. But we've got about 5 breath cycles here. And again, I want you to see if you can work with that 8-count inhalation. So inhaling for 8 counts, and then noticing and sending the energy up into our heart space. So for some of us, it was we wanted to be less snarky. For some of us, it was we wanted to be more mindful. And so we want to start to direct our energy consciously into our hearts, remaining open, remaining just aware of how to be compassionate to self and how to be compassionate with others. And so we're directing that energy quite literally, our prana vayu, our udana vayu, up into our heart space, up into our throat, so that the words that we say, the actions that we take can be from a very uplifted yet grounded place. So you've got about 2 more breath cycles here. And for these last 2, you might breathe in for 7 and then hold 1 count and then exhale at whatever rate you need to. You might even find that maybe you inhale for 6 and hold at the top for 2 and then exhale at whatever rate is needed. But we're just starting to consciously send our energy into the heart space so that we can direct our attention. And then at the end of your next exhalation, you'll mindfully release your hands, untuck the shoulders, and bring the pelvis back down to the floor and pause. Take a moment to just check in and notice what you notice. Awesome sauce. If you still got that block, go ahead and remove that block. And then you can gently pull your knees in towards your chest for a little bit of a compression here. Now, this is going to be slightly weird. I admit that, but it'll be good. So bring one hand, right hand to your right shin, left hand to your left shin. Go ahead and inhale and just draw your thighs to about parallel, or rather perpendicular to the floor. So about a 90-degree angle, arms straighten, knees come away from you. Toes can just relax or point, knees stay bent, hands on the tops of the shin bones. Cool. Let's pause. Bend your knees to about a 90-degree angle if their feet are straight up towards the sky. There we go. Awesome. Now take a breath in here. And as you exhale, draw your right knee into your chest, press your left shin forward into your left hand, and look towards your right shoulder. Yep. And then you'll do that on the other side. So inhale, send the right leg forward. And exhale, pull the left knee into the chest, kick the right shin forward, and look towards the left. And you've got about 4 more sets of those. So you inhale and send your legs away from you. And then exhale, right knee to chest. Look towards your right shoulder. Kick the left shin forward. Inhale back through center. And exhale, left knee into chest. You send your right shin forward and look towards your left shoulder. And you got about 2 more sets of those. So we're ideally finding a little stretch across the neck, as well as a little compression and release in the low back. Nice work, guys. And then the next time you are complete, or rather when you're balanced, you'll just hug both knees into the chest. And take a moment to pause here. Release your hands alongside your hips. Keep your legs as they are. And then inhale, sweep the feet up to the sky, the arms up and overhead, flex through the toes. And then exhale, come back to that starting point. So knees to chest, hands alongside the hips. And you got 4 more of those. Just inhaling, flexing through the feet, reaching the arms up. And exhaling, bending the knees into the chest, arms alongside the hips. And as you take these last 2 sets, see how long you can make your inhalation. Yep. And how long you can make the exhalation. And this last one we'll go ahead and hold. So you'll inhale and kick your feet up, reach your arms up and overhead. And now as you're here for these 4 breath cycles, I'd like you to imagine that your sit bones can kick up to your heels. You can breathe into your collarbones and reach out through your fingers, and you'll start to feel this light toning in your abdomen. So heels kick up, arms reach out, low belly pulls in to create that sense of support. So in order for us to keep our hearts open, in order for us to be mindful of our thoughts, our speech, our actions, we need to have this core center established. The end of your next exhalation, you'll gently bend the knees into the chest and release the hands alongside your hips. Awesome sauce. Now you guys have requested this, so we're going to go ahead and do this. Bring your hands to the back of your head, interlacing your fingertips. And then inhale, send your feet straight up to the sky once again, working for that 90-degree angle. As you exhale, tailbone curls up, heels reach up, pubic bone draws in, yep. And then inhale, just send your right leg forward, hovering off the floor. Keep reaching up through the left foot. And then exhale, draw the legs back to center. Awesome sauce. Inhale, send the opposite leg forward. So left leg comes forward, right leg kicks up, tailbone lengthens forward. Yep. Exhale, come back up. And you've got 4 more sets. You can continue to keep your head on the floor if this is working for you, or you can tuck your chin to your chest and look up towards your navel. Now, if you've taken that second option, your shoulder blades are lifting up and away from the floor, your elbows stay wide, and you're just pausing and you're breathing. And the slower that you work, the more muscular engagement that you're building. Awesome sauce, guys. Now, those of you whose heads are lifted, lift the shoulder blades up and away from the floor a little bit more. There you go, Roberta. And round through the upper back just a bit. Nice job. After you've done your last set, so you're even on both sides, you'll just simply come back through center, lower your heads down for a moment and pause. We're going to do one more core thing because that was the request. Okay. Go ahead and send the legs back up to the sky if they're not. Interlace the hands at the back of your head. Take a big breath in here. As you exhale, chin to chest, lift your shoulders and elbows up and away from the floor. Awesome sauce. You can bend your knees as much as you need to for this, but you'll inhale, send your legs forward, your feet forward to about like, I don't know, less than a 45-degree angle. Exhale, hold here. Inhale here. And exhale, hug the legs back up to vertical. And you got 2 more of those. So inhale, send the feet as far forward, maybe 45 degrees, maybe less. Exhale, stay here, hugging into the midline. Inhale, stay here. And then exhale, legs back up to vertical. And last set. Inhale, sending the feet forward about 45 degrees. Exhale, staying here, hugging legs into midline. Take a big breath in, tailbone length long. And then exhale, hug the knees back up. Hug the knees into the chest, release your head to the floor in happy days. We're done with core. And then you might find that from here, you want to extend your arms over your head, extend your legs long, and just stretch and wiggle, maybe arching the spine just a bit away from the floor to find a little bit of a release across the abdomen. And after you've wiggled around in whatever way feels best and nurturing for you, we'll very mindfully start to make our way onto our abdomens. And you might want to flip around. There we go. And when you find yourself on your abdomens, go ahead and come with your hands alongside your ribs, your forehead on the mat. Separate your feet about hip distance apart and press the tops of the feet into the floor. So let's bring our hands alongside our lowest ribs. There we go. Awesome. Now spread wide through your pinky toes and press your pinky toes and your big toes into the mat. Lengthen back through your tailbone as you lift your backs of knees up towards the floor. Great. Next, in breath, pull your heart and sternum forward and through. Come up, little baby cobra. And then exhale, lower down. And you've got 4 more of those. And I encourage you to inhale and maybe come up for 5 counts to inhale into your Bhujangasana Cobra. Yep. And then a slow exhalation down. And you'll repeat that about 3 more times, maybe coming up this next one for 6 counts, lengthening back through the tail, lengthening back through the pinky toes and the big toes. Yep, there you go, Sandy. And exhaling all the way down. High sky. And then maybe this next one will be a 7 count inhalation, drawing the heart and sternum forward to come up. And then a slow descent when you're ready. And then this last one will be an 8 count inhalation. And you're just breathing into the upper collarbones, into the upper ribs, noticing how you can use the shoulders on the back body to draw the top of the heart forward just a bit. And then you'll slowly descend down. And then we'll come up one more time, 8 count inhalation, and we'll try to hold this one for a few breath cycles here. So as you're here, push down through the index fingers and the thumbs, isometrically pull the hands back, hug the elbows back, draw the shoulders back. There you go. Keep reaching back through the pinky toes, especially the big toes, especially to lengthen the tailbone back. And you just got 3 steady breaths here, noticing how you can start to send the energy into the heart, inviting the shoulder blades onto the back body to support that opening while you're still drawing pubic bone and navel to support the low back staying long. And we're starting to just notice the energy build here. And at the end of your next exhalation, you'll just simply lower all the way down and take a moment to pause and to notice the energy moving through your body. Awesome sauce. When you're ready, draw yourself up to hands and knees, tabletop position. And then we'll just keep moving for a bit. So let's go next into Chakra Vakrasana. So hands directly underneath your shoulders, knees directly underneath your hips. Inhale, lower your belly, lift your gaze. And then as you exhale, start to push your hips up and back towards downward facing dog, keeping the knees pretty super bent. Awesome sauce. And then when you're ready, inhale, come back to hands and knees. And exhale, press back to downward facing dog. So that's just the general pattern. We're going to start to elongate both the in-breath as well as the out-breath. So you'll come forward for 5 counts. And then you'll press back to downward facing dog for 5 counts. And you'll repeat this about 3 more times, starting to elongate the in-breath and the out-breath. So one of the best ways that we can start to organize our mind in service of our interests, in service of the things that we value and how we wish to be in the world is really taking the easier step of organizing our breath. If the breath can be calm and steady and fluid, it allows the mind to be calm and steady and fluid. So as you take these last 2 sets, you might be working at a 7 count inhalation or an 8 count inhalation. I encourage you time and again to just come back to the breath and noticing how you can slow it down, really paying particular attention to the quality that the breath has from beginning to end. And then after your next exhalation, when you find yourself in downward facing dog, you'll just take 3 steady breaths there, maybe bending one knee and then the other. But again, paying very particular attention to how the breath is in the body, and in particular, paying attention to how you're directing the breath in the body, how you're focusing the mind on noticing the sensations and really cultivating a way of being kind to self so that we can be kind to others, especially when we're not kind to others, we can be kind to self. Okay. On your next inhalation, let's go ahead and come forward into Phalangasana plank pose. Awesome. Take a breath in here, pressing down through the hands, lifting up through the inner armpits and lengthening your tailbone back. Next inhalation, shift your weight forward and lower down onto your bellies. Your inhalation will draw you back into a cobra or up dog, whatever feels best to you. Nice job. And then your exhalation will draw you back to downward facing dog. Maybe you lower down first and then press up through hands and knees, or plank, and then come back to down dog. Cool. And then we'll just take a moment here to breathe. So you might choose to stay in down dog. You might choose to rest for a moment in child's pose, but we're allowing ourselves to just breathe. If you're in child's pose, make your way back to down dog. And then from down dog, take a big breath in and a big breath out. Inhale, gaze towards your hands, and then exhale, step your feet towards your face. Nice job. Once you get there, separate your feet about hip distance apart, maybe grab opposite elbow, maybe grab the back of your skull, but you've got 3 breath cycles here. And again, just notice where the breath is in the body. Noticing where there's tightness and tension in the body, and maybe you can start to send the breath to that parts, just so it can open, so it can soften, so it can release. Cool. If you're in movement, come to stillness. Gently release the hands down towards the floor and then slide your hands up the front of your shins. Inhale, halfway lift spine parallel to the floor. And we're going to take a moment to pause here. Bend your knees just a bit. Arch your low back like you're blossoming your buttocks like a peacock. And then draw those front ribs into your back body. Slide the shoulders away from your ears and reach out through your ears like you have little elven ears and somebody's pulling them forward. Tucking the chin slightly towards your chest. Great. You can straighten your legs as much as you want to, keeping that elongation through your spine. And on your next in-breath, bring the spine all the way up by lifting back of heart first. Yep. And then gently release the hands alongside your hips. Awesome sauce. All right, go ahead and turn to face the side of your mat. So depending upon where your camera is, you might turn to the left or turn to the right. Turn your right toes to face the short edge of your mat. Turn your left toes in just a little bit and separate your feet enough so that we can take triangle pose. Awesome sauce. Go ahead and reach out through both of your arms. Turn the palms to face up. And then inhale, reach out through your right arm. Bring your right arm forward and down to maybe touch the right shin, a block, or the floor. Reach up through your left arm, turn your left palm to face forward, and then reach your left hand back towards your left hip. Great, now we're just gonna take 4 of these. So inhale, pizza slicer your left arm up and over your ears. And then exhale, swim the arm straight back along that line. And you've got 4 more of those. So inhale, maybe this one's a 5-count inhalation, sweeping your left arm alongside your ears. And then exhaling, drawing the navel to the spine, rotating the rib cage towards the left. Inhale, sweeping the arm up and over your head. and exhaling it back. And you've got about 2 more, and you're just working with your breath, seeing what it's doing in this moment, noticing all the fun stuff that are probably happening on your left side body. And then the next time your left arm is up and over your head, you'll just take a moment to pause there. Push down into your right big toe, draw your outer right hip back, and press into your left pinky toe. Take a moment to breathe into the right side body and see if you can rotate the right ribs forward, the navel to the spine. Nice job, guys. Next in-breath, send the left arm back. Now reach out through the left fingers and bring the spine up to vertical. Lower the hands alongside the hips, turn both feet parallel to the short edge of your mat, and just take a moment to pause and see what you notice. In order to organize our thoughts, we have to take that moment to stop, check in, and see how we're doing. Awesome sauce. Let's go ahead and try the other side. So turn your left toes to face the top of your mat or short edge of your mat. Turn your right toes to face in. Then inhale, reach both arms out parallel to the floor and turn your palms to face up. As you exhale, reach out through your left arm, bring the left fingers to the shin, the block, or floor, and just reach up through your top arm, your right arm in opposition. Make sure your right palm faces forward and then reach the fingers back and alongside your right hip. Great. And then we'll just take 5 of these little pizza slicers. Inhale, sweep your right arm forward and up and overhead. And then exhale, swing it straight back. And then for these next 4, you might be working with that 5 count inhalation, seeing how that feels to really just work with the breath. Making it very consistent, making it very stable, seeing how that feels. Nice job. You got 1 more set. And then the next time that right arm goes up and overhead, you'll pause. Press down into your right pinky toe, back foot. Draw your outer left hip back and keep pressing through your left big toe. And then you'll just pause and breathe. Every exhalation draws the left ribs under, the navel to the spine, and the right ribs up just a bit. Great. Next in-breath, swing your right arm back. Reach out through your right fingers to bring the spine up to vertical. Turn both feet parallel to the short edges of your mat. And then bring your hands to your bum, holding on to the backs of your hamstrings. So hold on to your butt. There you go. Inhale, lift your heart. And as you exhale, start to slide the hands down the legs to the floor, folding all the way in. And then you'll inhale, slide all the way back up, coming straight back up to vertical. We've just got 4 more of those. So long exhalation, maybe this one's a 5 count exhalation, folds you all the way in for Prasarada Padottanasana. And then a slow inhalation draws you straight back up. And then maybe this next one's a 6 count exhalation, folding all the way in. And you're just working with your breath. And then you come all the way back up when you need to. And then a 7 count exhalation folds you all the way in. And then your final one, perhaps, will be an 8 count exhalation all the way into Prasarada Padottanasana. And we'll just go ahead and hang out there once you get into that forward fold. You might release your hands to the floor underneath your shoulders. You might choose to walk the hands back between the legs or forward like a downward facing dog. But wherever you are, continue to notice that the weight is evenly balanced on your feet. So shifting it forward. And then in this internalized space, notice where the breath is in the body. Breath is always the most important thing in our asana practice. And the fact that the breath is like the anchor to the mind, and they're like two little fish that swim in a school. We want to see if we can direct the one that's a little bit easier to direct. Awesome sauce. Go ahead and draw your hands back up your legs and come all the way back up to stand. And then you'll just gently step or hop your feet together. Awesome sauce. And then go ahead and turn the face the front of your space. Cool. Separate your feet about hip distance apart, and we're just going to do some dynamic chair poses here. So you might want to block between your shin bones if that works for you or not. It's totally up to you. But you can't see me. Okay, so we're just going to go ahead and inhale, sweep our arms out and overhead, and then exhale, just sit your butt back. Take a breath in here and take a breath out here. Inhale, reach up through the fingers a bit more. As you exhale, scoop the belly, reach out through the fingers, keep the knees bent, and draw the hands alongside the feet on the floor. Next in breath, reach out through the fingers, come back up through a flat back to sit to chair pose. And then you'll exhale and stay here. Inhale, push through the feet, reach up through the fingers, stand up and look up. And then exhale, lower the hands alongside your hips. And so we'll do that about 2 more times. So inhale, sweep the arms up and overhead. Exhale, bend the knees and sit the pelvis back. Now inhale, lengthen tailbone away from crown, fingers away from crown. And then exhale, start to scoop the belly, hinge at the hips, lower the hands alongside the feet. Next in breath, reach out through the fingers, hinge through a flat back first to come to sit to chair. And then exhale, stay here. Inhale, push through the feet, reach up through the fingers, lengthen through the tail. And then exhale, lower the hands alongside your hips. 1 more time. Inhale, circle, sweep the arms up and overhead. Exhale, bend the knees and sit the pelvis back. Take a big breath in here, lengthening the side body by lengthening the tail down. And then exhale, hinge at the hips, flat back to reach the fingers down and alongside the feet. Inhale, reach out through the fingers, coming through a flat back to sit through chair. And then exhale, stay here. Next in breath, push through the feet, reach up through the arms. And then exhale, lower the hands alongside the hips. Take a moment to pause, take a moment to breathe. Okay, and we're gonna go ahead and add on. Cross your left leg in front of your right, like you're just kickstanding. So left leg in front of right, arms open out. Left arm comes underneath to give yourself a hug. Then you might bring the backs of the palms to touch or the fronts of the palms to touch. Start to bend through both of your knees. You can keep that left foot on the floor if that's working for you, or let it float up, and it might tuck behind the back of your right calf. And then you'll just take a moment to pause, and you'll take a moment to breathe, lifting the elbows, descending the tail, drawing the front ribs in and back. And then very gently, we'll lower the left foot to the floor, straighten the right leg, unwind the arms, and uncross the leg. Cool. Try all that on the other side. So right leg comes to the outside of your left foot, little happy kickstand. Give yourself a hug, right arm underneath. Go ahead and either bring backs of palms to touch or palms to touch. And then you can start to bend into your left leg. And you might choose to stay there or let the right leg hover and maybe wrap the right leg behind the back of the left calf. Nice job. You'll just notice what you notice, lifting the elbows, staying attentive to the breath. And then when you're ready to come out, you might release that right foot back to the floor. Go ahead and straighten the left leg, uncross the arms, and uncross the legs. Hooray, we did it. All right, let's head on. Okay, so let's stand at the top of our space. Here's our Surya A. Inhale, circle, sweep your arms up and overhead. As you exhale, fold forward at your hips, Uttanasana, forward fold. Nice. Inhale, halfway lift, Ardha Uttanasana. As you exhale, bend your knees, plant your palms, and step or float back, Chaturanga Dandasana. Nice. When you're ready, you'll inhale into an up dog or a cobra, and then you'll exhale back to a downward facing dog. And you'll just take a moment to pause and notice what you notice in going through that. Surya A is often used as a warm-up, but we did a bunch of other things to get into that. And I just want you to notice how that feels for you. That worked. If it didn't, it's all okay. We're just observing things. Okay, let's go ahead and try that again. Inhale, gaze to the top of your space. Exhale, bend the knees, empty the belly, travel to the top of your space. Nice job, guys. From there, inhale, halfway lift. Nice, Andy. And exhale, fold all the way in. Inhale, root to rise, Urdhva Hastasana, upward salute. And exhale, hands through heart center. One more time on your own. Inhale, circle, sweep the arms up and overhead. Exhale, hinge forward at your hips, Uttanasana, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift, Ardha Uttanasana. And exhale, bend the knees, plant the palms, step or float back, Chaturanga Dandasana. Inhale through upward facing dog or cobra. Yep, and exhale, downward facing dog. Nice job, guys. And you'll just take 3 steady breaths here, noticing what you notice, how the body is, how the breath is, how the mind is. Organizing our thoughts in service of our interests so we can be our own best friend, best ally, best support. Okay, inhale, lift your right leg up and back. As you exhale, quietly step that right foot between your hands. Spin the back foot to the floor and let's come for warrior 2. So you'll bring the spine all the way up to vertical. Now, when you are vertical, check in with your feet again. See if the alignment is organized in the way that works best for you. So some of you might turn your left toes towards the top of your mat a little bit more, your left heel out a bit. You might bend more into that front knee as you draw that outer right hip back. Great. Now, similar action that we've been doing this whole practice. Inhale, reach out through your right arm. Your right hand can touch your right ankle or to the inside edge of your right foot. Maybe forearm rests on the right thigh. But then you'll inhale, reach back through your left hand, draw the left shoulder onto your back body. And on your next exhalation, draw the navel into the spine a bit more. Great. Inhale, pizza slice your left arm forward. And then exhale, swim the arm straight back. So you got 4 more of those and see if they can now start to elongate that inhalation. So maybe it's a 5 count inhalation. And then the exhalation is as long as it needs to be. And then that might be followed by 6 count, 7 count, 8 count, so forth. So from an energetic standpoint, the reason we're focusing on doing this with the breath is it allows us to take in more inspiration. I don't know about you, but I know that when I'm not performing at my best, I'm either yelling at a customer service representative or not organizing my time efficiently, is because I'm not taking in enough energy, enough vitality, enough inspiration, as it were. And so I need to literally just focus on the inhale, building what's called prana and udana vayu. And that's all we're doing here is we're trying to build both of those subtle energies for ourselves. And then the next time your left arm is up and overhead, you'll just pause there, an extended side angle for 3 breath cycles. And again, I want you to see how you can breathe into the collarbones, into the ribs. See if you can continue to push down through the feet, finding that grounding, finding the engagement and support of the abdomen. And if your neck is bothering you, draw the left hand back and go ahead and look down towards the floor and see if that gives you a little release of the neck. Nice job. From here, turn your gaze to the floor, come to a low lunge facing the top of your space, and then go ahead and step back, downward facing dog. Your option choice to cycle through an up dog or a cobra or to stay right there. Nice work, guys. Nice variations all around. All right, let's go ahead and try the other side. Inhale, lift your left leg up and back. As you exhale, quietly step that foot between your hands. Spin your right foot to the floor and come up for warrior two. And then again, take a moment to organize yourself in service of your best interests. So you might need to widen the feet left to right or front to back. And then you'll bend into that front knee, excuse me, and notice that your pelvis might need to shift a little bit towards the upper right, rotating more towards the left so that your sacrum stays happy. Then on your next in-breath, reach out through your left arm. Maybe the left hand comes to the left ankle, a block, left forearm comes to the floor. And then reach back through your right hand, draw the right shoulder onto your back body. And then you've just got 5 of these. Inhale, sweeping your right arm forward, little happy pizza slicer. And exhaling and swimming it back. Now the next 4, you might choose to elongate that inhalation. So maybe it becomes a 5 count inhalation this time. And the exhalation takes as long as it needs to. And then that might be followed by a 6 count, 7 count, and 8 count. And you continue on your own. Each of you breathes at a very unique pace. And throughout it all, the awareness continues to come back to the mind. And throughout it all, the awareness actually comes back to the breath. So my teacher talks about the breath and the mind being little slippery fish. And like schools of fish, they do travel together. And so we want to keep reminding ourselves that we can direct our prana to direct our mind. Awesome sauce. The next time that right arm swims overhead, you'll go ahead and pause and stay there. And continue to press into the back foot. Continue to reach out through the right fingers while plugging the right arm into the socket. Yep, and then noticing how you can rotate left ribs under, right ribs up. There you go. On your next in-breath, go ahead and take the gaze to the floor. Come to a low lunge facing the top of your space. And then step yourself back, downward facing dog. You might cycle through an up dog or cobra, or you might not. It's totally up to you. Cool. And then from here, let's find ourselves forward onto our bellies and just take a moment to pause. You can stack your hands right underneath you if you'd like, or just bring a cheek to the mat. Okay, let's come up to Sphinx pose. A few of you seem to be indicating that you're having neck stuff, so let's do something to address that. So go ahead and come up to Sphinx pose. Make sure your feet are about hip distance apart, and you're going to press into the tops of your feet. Now claw your mat with your hands, spreading wide through the fingers. And the important part of this is really to lengthen the tailbone back, really to press into the big toes and the pinky toes evenly, and to find that length through the lumbar spine while we do this. Go ahead and take your right ear towards your right shoulder. Push down through your left hand and isometrically pull your left hand back as you let the right ear drop to the right shoulder. You might then open and close your mouth a few times. You might also choose to turn your chin to the floor, up to the sky a little bit more, or even into your chest a bit, but I want you to keep breathing as you probably find a spot that feels like a whole wind tunnel appears in the scalene muscles of the neck. Keep the legs active. Keep the tailbone lengthening back. And then gently, you'll come back up to center. And before we go to the other side, just pause. Notice if you notice anything different between the right and the left side. Shoulder blades stay on back, legs stay active, tailbone reaches back. And then when you're ready, left ear drops towards the left shoulder. Push down into the right hand. isometrically draw it back. And you might choose to turn the chin to the left shoulder a little bit, or to the chest, or maybe up to the sky. You might open and close the mouth a few times. But you're finding a fun little spot where it feels like a wind tunnel sort of comes into the right side of your neck. And then very gently, you'll come back up through center. And we'll add on. Did that go okay? Great. Okay. Sandy, you okay? Great. Okay. Now, next thing I'd like us to do is Ardha Bakasana. So we're going to come back up to that forearm position. We don't spend a lot of time stretching our quads these days. So take your right hand over to your left, bend your left knee, reach around and grab your left foot. And you're just going to see if you can draw your foot to your butt. If you're like, Jessica, that's never going to happen, lift your butt up, draw your heel closer to your butt closer to your heel, and then maybe lower the pelvis back down. From there, you can bend your left elbow a little bit more, maybe spin the fingers to face the same direction of the toes, and then turn your left shoulder to face the top of your space. You can then also check in with that right foot and make sure the pinky toe and the big toe are reaching back, the tailbone is reaching back as you're hugging that left heel towards your hip. Awesome sauce. If you've taken all that, gently release the left leg. I'll try all that on the other side. So left hand comes towards the right, bend your right knee, grab your right foot. First things first, you might need to lift your butt way up and away from the floor to draw your hip and your heel towards each other. And then you can lower the pelvis back down. And then you'll check in, see if you can bend that right elbow, maybe spin the shoulder, or rather spin the fingers to face forward in the same alignment as your toes. Draw your right shoulder forward. Continue to reach back through the left pinky toe, the left big toe, tailbone, and push down through your left forearm to lift your chest as best as you can. Awesome sauce. Very mindfully release that. And then lower all the way down. All right. Do you guys have enough energy to do Dhanurasana, or should we go back to bridge? Okay. So let's lay on our bellies. Let's go ahead and bend both of our knees. Actually, Allied, I want to do this first to make sure you guys are strong to do this. Bring your hands to your palms. Bring your hands alongside your hips, palms face down. Reach out through your legs, pressing the tops of the feet onto the floor, and then draw your shoulders up towards your ears and draw your shoulder blades onto your back. Inhale, reach out through your legs, and as you exhale, scoop the pubic bone to the belly button. Next in-breath, lift legs and head up and away from the floor. And as you exhale, just bend the knees and draw the heels towards your bum. And then inhale, send the legs straight back. And you got 3 of these. And you're just exhaling, pubic bone to belly button, heels to hips. And inhaling, sending it back. And exhaling, hugging, heels to hips. And inhaling, sending back. And last one, exhaling, heels to hips. Great. And inhaling, sending it back. Great. Go ahead and lower down and rest for a moment. And for this next one, you can choose to do just that variation that we did and hold it for 4 breath cycles, or do 4 breath cycles in, or we're going to take Dhanurasana where you'll bend your knees and you'll grab the outer edges of your ankles, and we'll do that for 4 breath cycles. So it's whichever one feels most suitable for you. We're organizing ourselves in service of our best interests. So it doesn't mean that we always have to do everything. It just means that we need to know what's helping us move towards whatever goals we have. So whenever you're ready, you're going to take the variation of your choice, maybe either staying in Dhanurasana for 4 breaths or moving in and out of that Ardha Shalabhasana for 4 breaths. But you'll just pick which one works best for you. And then as you're in whatever shape or series of shapes you're taking, I want you to pay attention to the breath. using the breath to indicate whether it's too much, whether the mind is racing, and see if you can consciously focus on that breath. And at the end of your fourth exhalation, you'll just simply lower down and release. And then just take a moment to pause and really check in and see what you see. Great. Bring your hands alongside your hips. Tuck your toes under and either come through hands and knees or plank pose back to down dog just for a moment to release the spine. Once you're in down dog, press down through the index fingers and the thumbs, lift up through those outer hips, lift up through those inner armpits, and wrap the triceps to the floor. And then continue to invite the front ribs into the back body as the tailbone and the pubic bone reach up and away. Awesome sauce. Gently, you'll come forward. You'll lower yourselves down onto your bellies, and then you'll flip over onto your backs. And when you find yourself on your back, you'll just take a moment to pause, checking in and seeing how you feel. The first thing I would encourage you to do is to do a supine twist of your variation or whatever choice you wish to do. So it might be eagle legs, since we did that a little earlier. It might be both legs going just stacked. It might be one leg long and one knee bent, but you're going to take a supine twist, whichever one feels best to you. You're organizing yourself in service of your best interests. And you're going to just take 3 to 5 breath cycles in that supine twist, and then just noticing where in the body you can invite in a deeper breath, where in the body you might be able to release a little bit more tension. It seems that in many instances, in order to organize ourselves properly, we do need to know what things we can relinquish and what things we can, really step into. And then when you're ready, you'll switch sides if you haven't already. I know that for me personally, I don't like losing my cool with customer service people that are just doing their jobs. And so that's one of those things I would like to organize myself around. I know that for many, having families and being sort of quarantined for over a year, you really care about these people. You don't want to often lose your cool or be snarky with them. And then even when we live on our own, we want to be mindful of how we use our time so that we can direct our energy and our attention to the things that are important to us, including the people and the relationships that are important to us, without feeling overwhelmed or depleted in any way. And after you've taken both sides, both sets, you'll gently come back through center. And then I encourage a simple forward fold. So you might just pull the knees into the chest. You might take a version of Supta Upavut. Oh, that's too long. Basically, a version of plow where your butt doesn't leave the floor and your legs are long. Or you might even find that you want to take a figure 4 stretch, but just take some type of simple forward fold to find a bit of symmetry and balance here. And when you feel complete with that, you'll bring yourself into your final resting pose. And as you come into this final shape, I encourage you to take these first few breaths in this pose to really organize yourself, to fidget and move in whatever way enables you to really let go. And once you feel like you've established that support or that trust and the support beneath you, you'll bring your awareness to your belly, to your navel center. And to the best of your ability, just allow the awareness to rest here. This practice is called Nishta Dharana, and Nishta refers to navel, Dharana refers to concentration. And it's said that by just concentrating on our navel, we help ourselves cultivate a greater sense of stability in our lives, a greater sense of compassion, a greater sense of warmth, a greater sense of vibrancy and vitality in our being, in our life, in our body. And so as you're here, you're just keeping your awareness really connected, really focused on the navel center, watching the breath as it enters and exits the body. And as you continue to settle in, you might find that your awareness wishes to drift. And as best as you can, when you notice that, just draw it back to the navel center and let it remain a witness and observer of the breath entering and exiting. We'll go ahead and be here for a little while longer, and I'll let you know when it's time to come out. Gently release the technique and just allow yourself to take 3 natural breaths, checking in, noticing what you notice. As you continue to check in, observe if there's any part of you that longs to linger here for a few more moments or a few more breaths. And if so, by all means, please hang out here. When you are ready to move forward, you'll start to invite conscious, small, deliberate movement back into your physical form. Gradually, you may find that you want to make this movement bigger in some way. And then very gently, you'll make your way over to one of your sides. And then draw yourself up very slowly to a tall, comfortable seat. Okay. And as you take these final just few breaths here in this shape, I'd like you to just become aware very consciously of how the breath is at this moment. One of the things I find interesting and encouraging about working with the breath is sometimes it's hard to change our thinking patterns. We can find that it's a lot more easy to change our breathing patterns, and that in turn gives us the ability to shape and direct our thoughts and how we show up in the world. And so, as you go off into the rest of your lives, I encourage you to remember that moment by moment, breath by breath, if you're not showing up in the way that you'd like, how can you just take a moment to deepen the breath, trusting that that is all you need to do? Gently bring the hands to heart center, Anjali Mudra. The light within me honors and salutes the light within you. Namaste.